Hi, and it's the Bloody Mary Show. This is Bloody Mary. Come with me. We are going deep inside the haunted house of Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau as I research and write the book and communicate directly with the other side. Not only Marie Laveau, but many other ghosts who have had something to do with this building are popping out of the rabbit holes left and right. So we will take a look at them, maybe put them to rest, explore curses, synchronicities, and much, much more. Let's go take a look inside and go to the other side through the mirror with me. We're going to do a little channeling, a seance, something on the Ouija board, and direct communication. Let's go to the backyard first.
It feels there is a lot of confusion. The older woman, she's a woman of color.
Catherine?
Maybe. That seems right.
Catherine Henry?
There's a lot of confusion. She gets really confused. I think this confuses her.
It confuses a lot of people. Well, I will say to her, I've said before, your original cottage is no longer here. This new house was built on top of it. There's foundations below that were still yours. There's energy here that you would recognize. This building probably wasn't up close on this property at the time, and that seems to confuse many, actually.
Yeah, she gets
It's a full moon tonight.
She's almost, she keeps smoothing out. She's almost embarrassed of having us be here, adjusting herself, and
You look lovely.
yeah, she's lovely. She's really, really lovely. She's really lovely.
And she was such a strong, impactful woman of her day that was so influential that I never even paid attention to until I got here.
She's really lovely.
Is there anything we're doing that you want us to do better? Or different?
She keeps talking about her oven. Once she mentions pie. She mentions pie, and I think, is there anything that you can do different? She wants pie out of the fridge.
There's pie.
There's pie. She smiled at that. She smiled at that.
It's a pie.
She smiled at that. It was, you would, she is so, that makes her so.
Put it out, and then I forgot to, then I put it away, and I never took it out again.
That she clasps her hands. Like it makes her, that makes her very, very happy.
I had a classic New Orleans pecan pie, too. Do you know the pecans were invented in Louisiana? Well, we're trying to get some of the secrets revealed that need to be known, not the secrets that need to stay hidden, to help generations to come to tell the story right and to be right in
She
the world.
says, she says, just sit down. I think.
I don't sit down enough to bring my rocking chair back out here.
That's what she really would. What she really was asking was for a rocking chair. She's just so excited now. She's so happy to see you. And I think
Were
that
you buried in the church? I know I was.
that makes her very sad.
Oh.
She actually, she weeps at that.
The church has changed. A new one is bigger and on top of it, but there were many, many, many that were buried there. But it filled up.
She feels very, it makes her, the church makes her sad. That one makes her sad. She does this.
Doesn't want to talk about it. It's okay. Now Marie seemed to get along well with the church.
Marie did.
Your granddaughter. Was a little. Please talk to me in dreams, and while I write here, I'm trying to write. I need you to whisper while I write, okay?
Yeah. Talk to her, Miss Catherine.
Can we go inside now?
Yeah.
Can you go inside? I know it's a different building. Ready? Open the gates, Papa. Open the way, leg, pa. Hi, Bloody Mary, Voodoo Marie Laveau. And Regina said, Ayaya Nakisi Milango, many names have been known in the past, names are known in the now. Call forth my spirit guides, friends, and family on the other side. We call the directions, we call to the power of the south. The spirit of fire, light the way and bring us here to this house to warm the way. Call on the winds of fire. Call upon the spirit of water. The spirit of the west, the lowest, the angels, the winds that are there and all that are best, to come this way, to float through the water, to follow the light, to amplify by the crystal, and come to us tonight. Just a minute. Spirits of the east, spirits of the air, follow the smoke signals from over there, communication through the air, and the offering of tobacco to bring you here. Through the water, follow the light to come to us tonight. The spirits of the north, the spirits of the earth, Food Mother, Green Mother, open the way. Below is the angels, the winds, bringing them here today. To the spirit of the earth, the ground is where we are. And this is the element, God, Bonde, Grandmaster, Great Spirit, Goddess of the all. We open the way and call all the spirits. We're going to hold our hands momentarily and we call all our spirit guides, friends, and family on the other side. I call Muriel de la Noche. I call Marie Catherine Laveau. I call Alfonso Monasalvas. I call many names that I've known in the past and names that I've not known and names that'll be in the future. All of them that are at our side. I particularly call the spirit of Vere, the spirit of truth, to be here so we see clear, hear clear, and communicate. I open the way in now.
Gentle spirits, we welcome you now in this place, the sacred union of souls, this gathering, and we welcome our friends from afar, those beyond the veil who would like to speak. You may use our energy, you may use our words, you may use our thoughts, and we accept and we welcome you as friends around the table. We come this very night, and we open that veil.
I have some prayers from the French spiritist of Spiritism, of which was practiced in New Orleans in the time of Marie Laveau, and still is with many Latin Catholic areas for Spiritismo, and I think even biblical prayer for the mediums, which is kind of interesting. And it should come to pass in the last days, says the Lord, that I will impart my spirit over all flesh, and our sons and daughters will prophesize, and our youngsters will see visions, and our elders will see through dreams. And certainly I will pour my spirit into my servants, and they should prophesize.
Beautiful.
So motivate.
So motivating.
So we're here at 1022 St. Anne in New Orleans in the French Quarter. Follow my voice, follow the light, follow the water, follow the earth, follow the spirits, follow your way to God here today so that we can communicate, so we can clarify, so we may open and know why. We take a deep breath in all together and out. Ground in the moment that we are here. And to our friends that will see this through the media, if you have something that you see, that you feel, if you breathe in with us when we do our next breath, we will continue to connect with you, even though you're from afar. Even though you may watch this in the future, it will still work. So let's take one deep breath, all of us. And out. And one for ourselves so we can open all the dimensions. I call it a spirit guide. Is there a particular spirit guide, a valet, a butler, that is here today, that is opening the way? I see a very long-legged, almost cartoon, borderline, alien-esque. Yeah.
But interdimensional nonetheless.
And that's absolutely fine. Hello, greetings, welcome. Will you open the way and let the others, help the others to come and call upon the spirit of the angry man that had been showing himself here. I think the angry men is more appropriate. I think there's more than one.
There's more than one.
The angry men, who I usually come here to only talk to Marie Laveau and Catherine, but they want themselves to be known. So we're calling upon the angry men. We have a name, but we're going to wait to see what you guys get. Anybody have anything to say? And come forth.
Is one kind of pacing, just observing us, still trying to figure us out?
Mm-hmm.
I see him this white, wearing black.
Do you have a name? Do you feel a man?
I do. The one that I see two. There's a man of color. This man of color, he gets more anxious. But there is a white man wearing black, but he does. The one that I see has like a more red waistcoat, and he likes my moustache, but he's very vain. So he's kind of he does this sort of grooming always. He can be pretty contemptuous. He almost feels entitled. In fact, he might actually be titled. I don't think Prince, I don't think Duke, I don't think
right.
I don't think anything like that, but he's talking about, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Like he has that kind of.
Does he have a mustache?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. His was much. It was more bushy.
It was curly.
It was bushy.
Sorry. Louis Christophe Duminy de Glapion. Louis Christophe Duminy de Glapion. Louis Christophe Duminy de Glapion. Are you here? Is that you? He did say he had his moments.
He does have
of dapperness. He's referring back to you right now. When he was young, when he was swole, when he was,
because I see him too. I see him young and old. I see duality, and he
Very distinguished.
very distinguished.
Very distinguished.
Do you have, okay, I have had him on several occasions come in here. More or less the watcher, the overseer, the grounding, but he can, taking it back to the shootout with the other angry man, there was lots of that type of thing, which made me think he stayed here even more after his death.
Oh, absolutely.
Like he stayed here to protect her in life and afterward. Well, what you got?
Well, I think it's your man, Louis. He says, yes, and thank you for coming to my party. It is a party, isn't it? Life is all about the social events and champagne and frivolity. So I don't know who invited you here, but I am pleased that you are here. Does that
Interesting.
resonate?
Well, I don't know. He was, do bring aperitifs. I don't know what I have back there. I have absinthe. I don't have any champagne. I should have. I neglected.
What is this one?
That is big rum. Over here is the absinthe. I don't know. He would probably like the rum.
I think he would. Let's
do the rum. Should have been a party. I should have brought food and stuff. I was just feeling very ill yesterday. But I brought gifts. I just didn't. I only really bought this.
That's
I
nice.
didn't know if you wanted 1 or 4.
If that's a hint, you're welcome to have some.
I think it's a. I think it's a 4.
Okay.
I
Just a
will. I will.
Well, it would be
pass.
a. Let us toast to the spirits.
Louis.
Louis ain't coming. Louis would have been Marie Laveau's second husband. And she believes she contacted him in the courtyard. I believe he's separate from the other angry guy.
Yes.
Oh, he's absolutely, completely not the
the one that you
They're
had
not
last night.
connected, yeah.
Yeah. But doesn't mean he wasn't part of that whole scenario, wasn't part of the angry. You know what keeps the first time that you encountered
The first
it was
time.
something out of the street, not far away. They
Yeah.
knew were here. It was this, and I keep.
Yeah, so I had a rock thrown at me. What was
You were
the
sitting-
first night I was here?
It was the
think it was a
first
couple
time
months
you were
ago.
doing, yeah, like
And
3
so
weeks.
I smoke, so I was sitting in the back having a cigarette, and from the corner, a rock gets catapulted towards me, and I'm like, okay, there's no squirrels, it's a fence, and it, you know, it's very low, so I saw that it was within the backyard. So I said, okay, somebody threw a rock at me, and then I did a summoning, and I got the angry man, and then only recently I knew there was 2 men, but it's where I got him. And he wasn't talking to me, and I think it's because this is his property to him. Like, what are you doing here? Why are you
It
in
was
my
his
backyard?
property.
And and I was dressed very sweatshirt and
Yeah.
boyish, right? So he's
Doing
probably
laundry.
Who,
I
yeah,
mean, you
doing
were doing
laundry.
it-
Like, who is this woman that's
Right.
dressed like a man in my backyard? You know.
And also I think
Insulted.
it would be very insulting in the 19th century.
Right.
And
I think he didn't like me at all, but we're good now.
yeah, well, you have to just talk to him.
Yeah.
And then there was the other guy with the gun, if there's a gun or a person or both buried back there. So we were trying to get to the bottom of it. Any message that you would like to say? He screamed at me one night. We did a channeling. Savannah and Mariah before her
Yes.
had both come up with something in that back corner. Not something good, something back in there that we have to bring to light. And then she said there was 2 men, the angry guy, which we thought was maybe a Leo or a Leroy or
Leroy
something.
was the first name I got.
And then there was this other white man, which might have been him, that started saying to me, you don't know the half of it. And I said, well, I want to know. That's why I'm
why we're
doing
here.
it, Tell me. So he was agitated, but he wasn't throwing rocks at me,
Right.
So
Well, you were startling, I think.
Mhm.
It was, you weren't announced,
Right.
and then it was you.
it's true, she hadn't been
Yeah.
introduced yet.
And I was using the house, meaning the
She was
laundry.
doing
Like,
laundry.
it's just my space, and very rude to not introduce myself.
And I don't know if we had already done a little ritual thing. Probably not. We did it
We
later
hadn't.
that
It was
day.
very early.
But
on.
anyway, there was a bunch of things that happened. And one of the things in the channel that the woman had said was, my great aunt, she lived here.
Beautiful woman,
Beautiful woman. She wasn't
but
nice.
she was not nice.
People
yeah.
thought she was nice. She wasn't nice. She wasn't good. She cursed this land. You can choose to believe that or not. And she's pacing and doing this, and she's continuing on. And I'm like, you hear so much about cursing in Marie Laveau. I just roll my eyes half the time. And whatever. Supposedly this woman, she had no children, which is none of them Marie daughters. They all had children. But it could have been a trainee, someone else that was here, whatever. It could have been the lady in red that you liked, that you said,
She was kind of a bad Mama John.
yeah. And you said, she doesn't live here, but she's here a lot. You were trying to find her place. She liked my jacket.
She liked red. She had a thing in her head, and she was beautiful, and she was lovely.
She was sharp.
She was
just
very
got
sharp, but she was not someone who could be trusted. Like she was.
She worked with both hands. I look at some email that had come through TikTok 3 days before I put the thing out. So it wasn't that she was, and it was about, she's like, well, basically, long story short, she said that, okay, she said that her great aunt had thought that Marie Laveau had cursed the family. And this was 3 days before this woman is, that nobody knows about it, that her great aunt thought she was cursed. Or the family was cursed. And she said so many things have happened in her family, so much drug addiction, so many problems. She was a little concerned about it. And I said we would look into it tonight for her. I don't think it was enough necessarily to do what would seem to be a generational curse.
No.
But let's talk about curses. I mean, some people do curses at the drop of a hat.
That is true.
And that is ridiculous. But they'll do it. You cut them off in a line. I mean, they don't like you didn't compliment them on their Easter bonnet or whatever it may be. You didn't give them enough attention, or you make more money than them, or whatever the case is. So, I mean, I cannot say for sure that someone didn't generationally curse them, but I was going to come up with a remedy, and I came up with one. I'm going to see what y'all think, okay? So anyway, her family had been here for a while. The story was pretty interesting. So she sends me this whole family history,
Wow.
which I thought was really cool.
And the serendipity of it is that we had this the night before with the great aunt.
That's what I was saying earlier.
And
Yeah.
just the next day, she gets this email.
Well, I got the email
With
4
the
days
curse.
before that.
Boop, boop,
Wow.
John and
So that was really
That's
odd.
interesting, yeah.
I mean, everybody's got a great aunt, I guess, but that's not something that pops up all
Not
the
the
time.
curses, the one.
I'm getting to the curse. I'm getting to the damn curse.
I don't have a good aunt, much less a great one.
Yeah.
Selected. There are many stories that the great aunt had learned from her great aunt and grandmother and such. Annie told Norma that things had become so bad in the streets of New Orleans during the war, the Civil War, that she had to dress up as a man when she went out.
Oh, I wonder,
Once she
I
dressed
wonder if
up,
that was
yeah, that's what I'm
why.
saying. She dressed.
Yes.
She dressed
Oh.
up in her brother's clothes to go out to buy a loaf
How
of
about
bread,
that?
which you had
That's-
also brought that day.
I did bring a loaf of
A
bread.
loaf of bread usually cost 5 to 10 cents. At
Wow.
the time of the Civil War, a loaf of bread cost $1. Wow. It was
Wow.
more at the Civil War. While out, some men, who she called carpetbaggers, looked at her and said that they never heard of a boy wearing earrings. They
Oh, my
tried
goodness.
to grab her gold earrings,
Oh, wow.
and she tore away, ripping her ear.
And they kept ripping off my jewelry as
Yes.
well. They kept, like, I lost bracelets and my
She
stars
ran
were getting
out of
ripped
the
off. Yeah,
she
I've been
ran
there
out of
for
the
like 2
baker
months.
shop. She ran out of the baker shop, red hair flying, and into the opera house. She lived in the opera house,
Wow.
Oh, that's weird. She had red hair.
and she had red hair.
I always have black hair, and for some odd reason, I tried to dye my hair red
Recently.
a week ago.
Oh yeah.
And I said I don't like it, and so I dyed it black again.
So you had the little.
But I had, and
For a moment, you were.
yeah, I was influenced to,
Yeah.
to
The
dye
red
my
hair
hair
and the
red.
gold earrings and the boys' clothing.
Yeah,
Wow.
interesting.
So she knew her way around,
Wow.
despite it being very dark. She hid in the costumes under the stage as she heard the men come in. She heard one of them say that she must be in there because of the blood on the floor. There was no light. They felt through the costumes coming very close to her head, but they didn't find her. After trying for some time, the men left, saying that they would find her because they knew where she lived. That night, her stepbrother went after these men to protect her. And Norma further related stories told to her by her Uncle Joe DeBat. Joe talked about the party that they would have every year to celebrate the Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau. This would have obviously been St. John's Eve. Uncle Joe told her that the party was held in the front of Congo Square, right there, across the street from the Municipal Auditorium, and that he used to attend it. He said there was plenty of food, drink, and good times. However, they would get so wild that they would take their clothes off, and the next thing you knew, the police would be there. He said the police would come and put us all in jail. Uncle Joe said that it got so bad that it was condemned. However, Marie Laveau would still have the party in Mildenberg, where the University of New Orleans is today. Uncle Joe told Norma many other stories about Marie Laveau. He said that one night he was coming home after being out late with some friends. And at that time, he lived on St. Anne Street, which is where we are, in New Orleans. When he arrived at home, he saw a woman dressed in black standing by the stairs at the front of his house. He noticed her sprinkling something on the steps. Uncle Joe told Norma that he crept up behind the woman and gave her a swift kick in the backside. When she came up, he slapped her in the face and she went running down the street. Uncle Joe felt that it may have been Marie Laveau. Norma asked if anything had happened to the family after that. He said not really, but your Aunt Adele used to go to church every morning at 6:30 Mass and passed down those steps on her way and developed a rash on her feet and her legs. We thought maybe it was due to the powder. Uncle Joe talked of Marie Laveau as a good-looking woman and well-known woman. He believes that her witchcraft and love potions are still practiced in the city now. She is buried in St. Louis 1 on Basin Street in New Orleans. On her tomb, it's written in French that she wants anybody who is passing by to pray for her. Uncle Joe told Norma that he felt, despite her reputation, that she feared God. The family, it seems, knew Marie Laveau fairly well. In fact, Marie Laveau gave Norma's mother and father a wedding gift of 2 cups and saucers. However, Annie de Bat threw them in the streets because she didn't want anything to happen to Norma's parents. There are stories about the family's connection with the famous Court of 2 Sisters of the French Quarter, and much more. She wasn't upset. I said, well, everybody will try to say that Marie Laveau did this or that, or threw some powder on the face. Would she have been the one out? I think this was like at the end of the 1800s, in her age of days, doing this. Would it have been someone else? Would it have been the lady in bed? Would it have been any other practitioner? No one necessarily knows. But if he knew her and went to her rituals, he should have known who it was.
And he didn't
He
mention
said
that.
likely to be Marie Laveau. But she said she wasn't as worried about that, though there's some nasty powders that people can put on someone. She was more worried about the cups and saucers.
Because they didn't...
Insult.
It is an insult. They also metaphorically didn't want to drink from the cup. Because when you drink from someone's cup, you are
Poisoning them.
you are poisoning them. You are condoning what they... You are basically saying, I am simpatica, we are the same. You metaphorically drink from the cup. Which is... She's concerned about the cups because, yes, it is insult, but also to have that is to be part of...
Now, Marie Laveau went to church every day of her life. She very well much knew these people. Somehow, the thought was maybe it got back to Marie that she had done this, and that's where a curse had come from. I said, well, no one can necessarily know that, but I would, let me think on it. But I suggest sending me a set of cup and saucers as a gift that it will bring to the house, even though that's almost like returning a gift. It's like making amends.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can break curses, and even if it's not what's causing the problem in your family, it's a goodwill gesture that could heal a rift in time, right? We do a lot of breaking of saucers and cups in voodoo after you do certain rituals and spells on them. I'm not going to break them, but I said, well, she also loves roses, and then she said, well, maybe I'll get a cup and saucer with roses. But it was interesting timing was everything with that. That there were this whole thing about curses is a problem. Too many curses.
It is a problem, and oftentimes when the person thinks that there is a curse, then it gets
spirals.
It spirals. So this person has to agree, send the goodwill, will heal the rift, but also
don't give it power.
Don't give it the power.
Right.
I mean, it's a long time ago. She's like, well, they do drugs, they did this, and then I was like, yeah. I said that's a curse that everyone. Now, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, she didn't put a curse. But then I'm thinking, oh yeah, they said she put a curse on the whole town. So not the land, but the land.
Yeah.
A curse that people would always have to come back. Well, it was a weird curse, like a blessing. Like anyone from here always had to come, could never leave. Anyone that visited always had to come back. It was almost like a tourism curse.
That sounds about right. Actually.
Yeah.
Isn't that what people always say?
People always say that. I don't know why, but I have to move there. I've never even been there, but I have to move there. And this is not like once or twice. This is like thousands of times,
Yes.
right?
It is true.
I feel this about this place. It's
Aleister
like,
Crowley said that eventually everybody comes to New Orleans.
yeah. And everybody did before, and they still do because we're such a moving port town. And
It has a soul. When you come here, there's something so substantial.
I had never
to
been
it.
here before 6 months ago.
Oh,
Never.
this is
Not
your
even
It's
once.
just so weird.
It
That you
is.
moved here without one of those that moves here
I
without
just had
income.
somebody saying that to me, that I'd never been.
I came
to
from
New Orleans,
Mardi
but
Gras and
they're
never left.
obsessed with it, and they can't wait to come
Since
here.
I
I'm
was
like,
a boy.
Oh, they say that all the time. It's so.
so you've been obsessed since you were a boy, and you had never been.
I'd never been. I loved France. I'd never been, but my second thought was New Orleans. And
Do you think it's past life things sometimes?
I think it's part that, but I think it's not that. I think it's your ancestors. People don't give credit to New Orleans for being such a big port town to come into this country. Latin Catholics came in through here. They only think New York. And then we had some people that came here and then died here. It's like, so I think that their spirits are here and they recognize that and they feel it.
As for mine, though,
Where we are geographically.
my ancestors were French Protestants. They were the Huguenots, and they did come. Virginia was where they settled, but
They came up this way?
they must have. I'm sure.
I've lived in a lot of cities. They all have an energy, you know.
They
and
all have a
everywhere you
spirit
go,
of place.
They do, and this spirit of place is so strong that
The
when
river.
you leave,
The
you
river.
just think about it like a romance, like somebody you
Yes.
love dearly and you just miss them, right?
Right.
Well, the
There's
passion
that.
goes both ways.
And it's here, and
It does
This
get
is different.
balanced
It is
with
different, though.
with the
different.
smiles and the laughter and the music and the party. But that's what I said. She's passionate both ways.
she is.
Passionate to the death and passionate
Yes.
to the love and passionate. You know, it's. I learned
She's a
being born and
beautiful
raised in so many generations here. I learned to tightrope through it without falling too much into the quicksand. I've had my moments. We all, well, people that have been here more than.
But your
a year.
family's been here for 300
Yeah,
years.
yeah. So that's built into my
Yeah.
bloodline for me not to have to
So
feel
it's,
it as
it's
much.
interesting that we have perceptions. So you don't have the perception of what New Orleans is outside of being from here.
Well, I
Because there's
do
a
in the
romance
fact that I
to it.
can't find anything similar when I
Yeah.
did try to leave, and you know, I couldn't wait to get out. This was too small for me. That curse wasn't going to get me. I was going to get that out of here, hon. You know, I was like, no way. I had a trick her to get out of town. I did. Because every time I tried to make a plan, something happened. It's like middle of the night, throw it in a car, go. You know, go to a
look
concert,
back.
never come back. You know, seriously, it was like everything was trying to block me, and I was mad. And then I finally just, doing it, broke.
Yeah.
Doing it. And then I came back and she was waiting. But,
Yeah.
I had to sow my oats or whatever in New York. And
Another great city.
Yeah.
New York is a great. I love New
Yeah.
York City.
I was there at the perfect time. It's a little more weird now, I think. But it was fun then in the 80s and 90s, It was fun.
It feels like we
Got a couple husbands back up there.
Oh, there you go.
One's still alive.
Oh. But it feels like when new people come to New Orleans, I feel like New Orleans gives you exactly what you want, and helps you be who you are. And if
She's a
if
tough
that
Will
was
also
your-
sop on your heart in a
Exactly.
second, kick your ass out of here.
Yeah.
Some not quick enough.
right, but it's like if your heart is to go down that decadent road, that's going to happen.
Oh,
If
absolutely.
your heart is to grow and learn and improve, that's going to happen too. But it's going to be tough.
This is a
There's lots
jealous
of
town.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of.
There's a lot
Backstabbing
of jealousy,
and
a
a
lot of
it's a tough little town.
It is. People said the Big Easy's like, absolutely not.
And it's like it does.
I've
test
watched
you.
people like get kicked out and her
Yeah.
slap them down, but it depends on how cocky they are
Yeah.
too. If you want to embrace her, it's fine. If you want to take over and show you're better, you're dead.
Right.
Not
It's
literally.
almost like she tests your love for her.
Oh, there's a lot of testing.
Things
Yes.
things are going to get tough. We're
I
all fall in
100%
love with
agree
it.
with
This is fabulous. We're here. But then things will come up that test your love for her.
Yeah,
absolutely.
She will, and then you pass those tests, then you're okay. You're
Then you're
solid.
entrenched in.
It's so
Yeah.
true, and I actually felt that. I said that to my friends too. I said, there were a couple murders that were on my corner of the house, and a couple really negative things happened, and where I was like, "What am I doing here? What have I done?" This
Right.
It's a very dangerous city, and I remember the day I said, "You are a difficult woman, but I love you." I was walking around the block and it was just gorgeous, and there was a Baptist church and they were singing, and there was just colors and the lights, the way they hit when the rain, and I was like, okay, I love you. I just love you, and I hope you accept me. But and I just felt that shift. Wow. There's something about this city. It's alive.
It definitely is
Definitely.
alive. It's not. Yes, we are haunted. But yes, it's more than just that there's ghosts. The spirits of the place are definitely like a little electric tingles all over the place. And it was so sad when it was gone after Katrina 2 years. I mean, it was a flatline mess of a place that you just couldn't find that spark. It was just, you were
Well,
here.
their energy sources were gone. So many people left.
So
I think
people
that was
had
part of
left,
it,
and I think
too.
the spirit of place was kidnapped. I mean, I did 3 years of rituals with all different types of styles to help wake it back up, to transform it. So it was the most unusual and difficult thing I think I've ever.
Wow.
So being that we know that like energy exists and you know it's a real thing and you can't kill it, you know, you can't create it. You talked about curses. How real are curses?
They can be. They definitely can be. There's some that are just, okay, how does people explain it? A whole bunch of little mosquito bites. They're really annoying. The more you get, the more problematic they are. So they can be little things. Some is just like walking through dirt on the street. You don't think anything of it and you scrape it off. But then there are some people that do some really, or send some really dark things your way. And it very well, it does exist. And I think people finding books and getting little things on the internet that write all the dark side and how cool it is to be the bad boy and pick up a couple of spells just to test it and do it on people. I do believe it's going to kick them in the ass one day. It's certainly not going to help anything because people are making mistakes, but everyone makes mistakes as they're learning. That's not the problem. They're not learning. You can't just learn from an app. You know, that they do it. They just take little things and put everything in a jar and shake it up and go, here's a spell.
They're going deep and they're reading, you know, the occult work, and that they don't know what they're doing. You know, that they're doing it for show. They're doing it to get money or to get attention.
I don't think there's a lot of them on there that are going deep. Everything I see is like
your algorithm's not
they're throwing everything in a bottle and putting some smoke in it and saying this is a spell. I mean,
there's plenty of them on there though. There's plenty of them that teach things, but I worry
who taught them
because you know
who taught them?
Mary knows that I'm theology. I study old ancient texts. There's so much misinformation, and it's so
nobody goes to source material. They go to another online source,
you know, that are trying to put the left-hand work out there and teaching that. You know, and saying they're teaching this to 14, 15-year-olds. Well, yeah, if your boyfriend breaks up with you or your girlfriend breaks up with you and breaks your heart, now you're going to put a curse on them. That's not right.
But it happens so much. That's the number one reason that people put curses. I don't think it's a good idea.
No.
I tell them that, look, what do you want? Don't tell me what you don't want him to have. What do you want? You know? I want him to pay. If vengeance is all that's on your mind, it's going to eat away at you. You know, I said, try to do something to build yourself up. I don't believe in these instant cures. No. You know, it takes work to get where you got to go. You know, and so, first of all, start fixing your love while you're still in the relationship to maintain it, to do that kind of maintenance work. Don't wait till after and then try to block them because you're still attached to them.
In times that I have dated off and on, and it inevitably didn't work out, they'll say, "Oh, you cursed me. I don't have the energy for that. I don't have the, I mean, you know what? Could I? Yeah, but I'm. Well, maybe you did it accidentally. No,
you don't. Well, I mean, okay. Well, angry thought forms can cause some trouble. It's not exactly a curse, but it can penetrate into someone's.
There was one in particular that every day I was blessing. Every day, blessing every day, and then I knew that it wasn't going to go anywhere because that's what my card said, and they don't lie to me. So when
you were hoping and hoping,
I was hoping it was wrong, but I let it. I realized that it was not going to work out, and I said, from here, I said, you know, I go on your way. I put you back on the path before I found you. I retract the blessings that I have given you. Do your own thing. Do what you need to do.
Right.
I retract it. And he called me terrified. He said, I know, everything's going wrong. And I went, no, I did not. I
told them, I just stopped doing what I was doing. Yeah. Which brings us to a curse I always have to answer people that they don't understand. Are you aware, I know you are, you might be, of Julia Brown?
I don't think so.
Julia Brown.
Downtown Julie Brown from...
No. Julie Brown, that was an older voodoo priestess at the turn of the 20th century that moved into a little bayou town, which ain't there no more. A little town on the outskirts. And she might have had an affiliate. How about Julia Brown? Somebody asked me the other day, did Julia Brown know Marie Laveau? It's according to some traditions, yeah, she knew her. And then after Marie Laveau died and after Julia Brown Mr. Brown moved away from New Orleans and they got some farmland in this little city, she moved out there. And she was the local hoodoo woman and the local traiteur, the healer. And she took care of your scrapes and she took care of your problems and she took care of your money. And she was a little bit of everything, right? She was the local woman in a town of... the town of Frenier. And, I think there was something written a long time ago about it, but some swamp tours out there recently, start talking about her more and more. I mean, her name was always out there, but now it's the curse of Julia Brown. And she was in that town for 20 years, even after her husband. She knew everybody in town. Some of them loved her. Most of them, they called her Auntie, And they said she'd sit out on her porch and play her guitar. And she had a song about, when the day I go, the whole town's going with me. She goes, there'll be a storm, I'll take it away. And this and literally on the day that she died or her funeral, the next day, a hurricane came to the town and blew it off the map. They were having her funeral, her coffin floated away and the casket did too. And somehow they got it back and dragged it back to the property, and 90% of the town died, but it was a small town and a very precarious area for hurricanes, right? And, very bad areas. And I was like, she cursed the town by singing that song. I was like, nope, I'm going to take up for her. I did a couple of shows about her. I think that she, as long as she was alive and living there, she was doing storm rituals to protect the town. I do them left and right constantly. Every time there's a storm threat coming, I'm doing so many storm rituals. I said, it's not fair to say that she did that when she was probably the one holding. I mean, it's a terrible location. And it was before there's any communication. And there's a train that would go there once a week. It was nobody knew when the hurricane was coming except for, the Beatles that go upside down and tell you the weather. So they're always saying, oh, she cursed the town, she's evil. It's like, I said, I'm pretty sure she was doing, they said, they were afraid of her. I was like, maybe some had awe and a respect, but they also loved her because she birthed all the babies and did all the stuff. She was doing protection rituals.
Yeah.
As I said, some people like to blame you if you predict something that it's your fault. It's like, no. But, I think curse, that's why I get so mad about curses. So, our dear friends, the mutual friends, the Ghost Adventures dudes were big trying to set me up saying that I put a curse on them and all. It's like, no. In fact, one time when they were in the house, like, will you put a curse? I was like, no, why would I?
Why?
I'm on your show. What would be my benefit for putting a curse on you?
Right.
Why would you even think? They were trying to make it juicy and spicy. So
They do.
And so I had a skull there that I stuck to shut Aaron up because he was carrying on. And supposedly the skull cursed him for a year of nightmares. It's like, no, I was just trying to wake something up.
I mean, is that an egregore where you just believe something so much that it becomes your reality and it starts to manifest?
Right.
Well, it could be.
Definitely.
I did put a skull on his chest. I did have him lie down in front of my center post. And I said, be a good boy, stay here. Yeah. I was trying to make him think about things because he had made a comment. I was like, I said, you stay here, you come over here. And, I certainly wasn't cursing him. I was trying to wake up his sentiment to get to the truth. But that's how people are going to look at it. And then there are people, they always say, we're going to curse you, we're going to hex you, we're going to teach you how to work on both hands. I mean, you have to have a set of understanding of the mystic world before you get that information, and that can basically be found better in a tradition that has ways to teach it to you than just by being random on the internet. So I don't much believe in all of that stuff. So you have to know how to curse in order to know how to stop a curse, but you have to be good enough not to do it.
Right.
So you have to know how to use both hands, but you don't have to curse. And, maybe a murderer, maybe a child molester, maybe somebody deserves it. I don't know.
It goes through the process of getting, the blood from a wasp. Or
What I was telling you,
and they go through that whole. Are the movements of going through the process enough? This is my question.
Movements.
Yeah. Going through the ritual.
The ritual is,
If you have all of the items,
Ingredients.
tools, and the knife, if you have everything and you go through that process, is that enough?
not necessarily.
Does there have to be intention or magic behind
The
it?
word intention is way overused, just like the word
Yeah.
energy.
Does
Both
there
are
have
used.
to be,
Yes.
a
Magic.
full-blown...
Yes. I can give you the ingredients.
What do you-
People can accidentally do things.
Yes.
Oftentimes in my experience, theaters are haunted.
Sure.
Churches are haunted. Synagogues, mosques.
Right.
Anywhere there is intense emotion, even slaughterhouses, unfortunately, they can be really, really, really haunted anytime there is. And actors, the thing about actors is that they oftentimes are magicians and mediums themselves, and they don't even understand
Naturals.
natural. I didn't know, exactly.
That's
Right.
being a natural. But as far as a curse is concerned, it's very easy because you'll understand this in a second. You're a cook. I'm going to give you a list of what to put in a cake. That's all I'm going to give you. I'm not going to tell you
I'm
what
not tell you
to.
how to make it. I'm not going to tell you
How
how
long
No, no,
to
no,
bake it,
no,
how
no,
long-
to cook
No,
it.
I'm not going to tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that you're supposed to take the shells off eggs.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you that you mix them together and beat them. I'm not going to tell you that you whip them together. Here you got your eggs and your flour and some chocolate. It's a lumpy old thing. You try to put it in there. So yes, will some work get done? Yeah, but not the way you
Now
want
we
it.
talk about the curse that we saw the other night.
Which
is
one?
that appropriate? We cannot use any names. The real curse that was put on that property, with people actually passing away.
Okay.
In threes.
Yeah,
Now that's a massive curse. That's something that's very heavy, very real, and causes life or death.
Mhm.
So, I think what I was trying to do here is like juxtaposition. Yes, there are people on TikTok that are playing around with things. Maybe somebody's
Always
gonna
dangerous.
Get, it's always dangerous, but it's not.
That's how you
that
learn.
dangerous,
That's how
right?
you
So if you put intention,
What about, do you call
Do you use the
ceremonial
Intention.
demons? Okay.
Yeah, if you're calling in, from the
Do
Book
I-
of Solomon.
I don't
Solomon's
necessarily
Seal.
believe that they're actually demons per
Yeah.
se, but
Right.
interdimensional beings that people.
No, do you use goetic
But I do.
terminology?
But I do
and
use the goetic
Okay.
terms.
Okay.
So, but did you do it when you were a kid and pick up a book?
No, but you know what? I had called them in. I was just saying anybody who wants to talk. I didn't realize. Now, as I got older, and I do call upon these goetic demons and and sometimes they
But
are.
don't you really
egregores.
have to be a little bit trained to know what you're doing before
You
you
do.
do that?
Yes.
Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
I mean, do you use sigils as well?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I mean, you do.
Yeah.
You have to know who you're messing with.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
again, if you are.
But then again, you can't study it because you'll
You
culturally
can.
appropriate it.
You call something in and you don't know what you're messing with. Yes. And they listen. They're there and you can talk to them. So a lot of them
I just
are,
think, yeah, like you have to really know what you're doing. You should have a teacher.
Yeah, and
Okay,
food.
let's
Yeah.
have a
Absolutely.
good teacher.
Absolutely. And
Not
in
another
food-
one on that. Her following is she considers that her coven. I'm like, wow. I was like, that's not good. You will have problems with that many anything, whether they're real,
Right.
whether they're egregores, whether they're
Whatever,
demons.
yeah.
You can't. And that these are humans and all of their problems. So yeah, I was like, whoa, people are going a little crazy. But yes, there are spells. I remember I was in Greece and I found this magical store. And he was and he was like, oh, my father, he has this great book with all these old grandmas. He goes, it was in Greek. And he goes, we have the recipes, but we've lost the magic.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was like, well, if you have the recipes, that's all you really need. And I'm like, no. At the time, I was like,
No.
why does he think that? This was 25 years ago. And, I get it, but at the time, it was like, well, at least you've got that part. That you should be able to learn traditions to figure out the rest, and maybe you can or you can't. But it was just very fascinating that at least he recognized the fact that, yes, we've got the recipes, but not the whys and the hows.
Right.
And most of the recipes, especially those on the internet and certain books, They're not sourced material. They always leave out the secret ingredient.
That's what you have to do a deep dive. Like any esoterica, you're gonna
You're
not
not
have to
gonna
go
be able to do
pretty
it.
deep into like even
Not everybody's supposed to be the master witch, the sorceress,
Right.
the Marie Laveau. What do you think about that, Marie? Let's see if we can
Marie.
concentrate on that.
Mm-hmm.
Got that hold.
She just points me to the church. That's why.
Right.
Well, again, when the hoodoo took over the voodoo, and I always say you could practice hoodoo without voodoo, without voodoo without hoodoo. You know, that's, even though it's changed in its definition these days, it was the folk magic, which was part of the religion of voodoo, but it could be separated. And they were taking away the spirit aspect because you could no longer meet and have a big ritual and this and that. So they'd be quieter and it got more privatized and more passed down. But a lot of people at the turn of the 20th century, older practitioners, were just angry at the new ones.
Yeah.
They were screaming at them then. Thought they had lost so much
But
that
a
they
lot
shouldn't
is
be
lost
practicing.
over time.
Yes.
secrets are kept and they should be.
You know, some
mysteries
are,
should
and then
be.
you have to try to
She
recreate.
showed me particularly not just the church, but she showed me a stained glass window. I saw.
Who was in it?
I don't know.
Mary? Was it many people? Was it just...
No, it was one person. There was one person in the middle, and it had the arch, and then there was a figure, but I don't know who it is. But she was pointing me to that church and that window.
Well, she definitely went to church a lot. So that's like saying you go to the ritual, you go to church because you're constantly getting the blessings, like you said you gave for the person, to counteract all the stuff that we step into.
And in Haiti, my father had a minister friend from Haiti, and he said, at home in Haiti, the voodoo priest will you go to the voodoo priest for something, and then the voodoo priest says, no, you go to the Catholic priest first, and then you come back with this blessing, and then I give you.
Yeah.
And he says,
you're supposed to go to church before you. It was always mass first and then Congo Square.
Yeah.
What after I do ritual, you go give an offering to the church. You go do the novena. You go light a candle. That Marie Laveau definitely what they say, whether it's true or not. Went to church every day of her
Do we
life.
know what church she went to?
Yeah, St. Louis.
St. Louis?
that one window.
Yeah.
The light is shining through, so that would mean that would be the window to the east, because it was radiant.
So that'd be the front of the church. The front of the church is east because it faces the west bank, because the west is east. That's how you figure that out. The west is east. So if you know where the west bank is, it's not west, it's east. So that's
Okay.
over there.
So she showed me.
Catherine, is that you?
She points me again to the flame. So my thought was, the day of Pentecost, but also
Tongues of fire.
fire, lots and lots of fire.
We did a flaming ritual here the other night.
Oh, I see.
Saturday, the night before.
Oh, nice.
Because she says fire. She shows me fire. What else are you going to show me? Let's see what else she has to say to anybody here.
What about the mean man? What you got to say about that whole
What about that
situation?
mean man? There is something about the throat issues from him. There's something about that.
Are you Leo?
Show me. He just keeps pointing me over to the sofa. Why are you? He just keeps. I just want to see something.
When you start working psychically, you do open a channel. That part's easier than tuning into the right channel. There are so many layers, you can't get a clear picture until you focus. And it's not just about how you can do it. It's about both sender and receiver. And the tools. Everyone has different tools or no tools at all. But you do need to work together to get the message through. And you'd never get down the block and never make it to your goal if you stop at every single channel in between. I want all of you to know how important it is to try to stay in focus. There are so many spirits that have so much to say. If you can help, try, but don't let them divert you. There's definitely more of them than you. Lots of rabbit holes are popping up inside this house. The angry man was a diversion from the main story, but we must see if we can put him aside, put him to rest, you may say, so that we can continue on with our research. There are so many spirits and so many layers of the worlds that coexist with ours, that when you do this kind of work,
Cool.
you have to ground.
That is
That's
okay.
okay? Okay.
No, it is not okay.
It's not good.
No, you write while we do this.
Oh, all right.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't like Ouija boards?
That's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead and write.
Had moved already. That is a little bit scary.
Angry man,
Pointed
angry
to you.
man.
Yeah, we did. Definitely.
Tell us your name. Actually, first of all, maybe tell us, are you the angry man who is here? You can speak through us. You can speak through the board.
Speak through the writing, speak through the cameras, speak through all of us. Open the way.
I know it takes a lot of energy. You can do it. Are you angry?
I feel like coming towards.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. It takes a lot of energy. Okay. It's okay.
I feel that he does not know how to spell.
He doesn't know how to spell.
You know,
I honestly was just thinking that.
He wanted.
yeah, I was like,
he wanted.
to go to the yes, but he doesn't.
He doesn't know
if
I
it's
don't-
right.
I don't. He doesn't know how to spell. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep.
But he did want. Okay, so here's what we're going to. We'll tell him. Let's tell him.
How about is your
Leo, if I can call you that. Over here, this is yes. When you say yes, this is over here. When we answer yes, well, this is yes. This side over here, this is no.
Can I read what came
Yes.
up? And see if this resonates with you guys. Angry man, are you here? He says yes. And your presence here makes me even angrier. You have no right to spy on me. I want to disappear. You are shining a light on me. I don't want you to see me or know me. I need to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Does that feel right?
I don't know.
He's the
He's
same guy.
moody.
Okay.
I think it does because again, when he's angry over a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
One, he can't read. He's angry.
He's angry about a horse.
I think
Maybe.
he murdered somebody. You still,
went to
that's
jail.
Still, yeah, that's still out. I think there
Mhm.
there was a murder.
There definitely was a shooting.
That he
Whether he
doesn't want-
actually died, I don't
He
know.
doesn't want anybody to know about that.
But he went to jail, he said already.
I don't think he went to jail for that.
Oh, something else.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you found your mama and your love and your.
closes because I'm.
Okay,
Yes.
let's do this.
Please continue to talk to us, to all of us, to have more, to fill in the blanks so we know where to go and know what to say. We thank you for visiting with us today. We hope you like your pie, your whiskey, your candles, and your light. Happy holidays to all of you living and dead. Thank you for letting us into your house. Thank you for letting us into your world. Make our world know more about your world and give us something to share. We open the gates, we now close the way. Like, but open, he closes. Hush. Thank you, Marie.
Thank you for joining the Bloody Mary Show, and please join us when you come to New Orleans at the Haunted Museum for ghost hunts, seances, and more. And if you have anything you connected here with, please do share. Now we say goodbye to the angry man, though I have said goodbye to him before. With my experiences, they come back and they go away and they come back again. Maybe Marie Laveau wanted us to deal with the angry man. Maybe it is a metaphor for the bigger picture of the angry man in the universe as we try to reclaim the matriarch. See you soon.